Ready to set goals, believe in yourself, and take action? Well, let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Recap Room, a space where we slow down, we revisit our powerful conversations from the Becoming Fierce Female Entrepreneurs podcast and pull out the wisdom, reflection, and real life application that still speaks to us today. And today's episode is deeply personal, deeply powerful, and honestly necessary. Today, we're revisiting two transformative conversations that I had with Tina Kapp-Kailea, the Fierce Leadership Series, Part 1. Healing the woman behind the business, and part two, when the woman heals, the business rises. You're welcome. So grab your journal, take a deep breath, grab your favorite beverage, and let's step into this conversation together. So today's subject is stepping into the next level of your leadership. So today we're going to address the woman behind the business. We're going to align with bridge, embodiment, and soul-led business. And we're going to rise, which speaks to leadership, visibility, and expansion, and the next level of your leadership. This isn't just about business strategy. This is about the woman behind the business, the woman who's been performing, the woman who's been surviving, the woman who's built success while quietly abandoning herself. Because the truth is, a healed business starts with a healing woman. So, throughout today's episode, I'll be sharing power rewinds from both conversations, along with key takeaways, redirection moments, and actionable reminders you can apply to your own journey. When your own life no longer fits. So let's begin with one of the most powerful questions that Tina shared. So I asked Tina to tell us about the moment when she realized the life she built no longer fit the woman she was becoming. So take a look at this. So tell us about the moment when you realized the life you built no longer fit the woman you were becoming.
That was a moment where I sadly had experienced my fifth miscarriage, and I was dragging myself back to an office, not taking a personal day for too long. And I overheard my boss in the corridor say something really, really cold and without any empathy to the HR person. And I heard him say, "Oh, the last time that happened, she didn't take time off." And there was a moment where I kind of looked at myself from outside of my body and realized, why am I still here? Why am I sitting in this job where no one cares about your well-being? It's taken everything from me. And that was a culmination of several years of being really at the coalface of a global financial crisis in media and advertising, and then having a narcissistic boss paired with how I was showing up at the time. I realized then that I was sacrificing everything, my health, and I couldn't carry on anymore. So I actually got an employment lawyer involved at the time and got out of there. And I didn't look back since.
That is so powerful. And I think so many women will see themselves in that moment you just described. So the key takeaway is sometimes growth doesn't look like gaining something new. Sometimes it looks like realizing what no longer fits. And for many women entrepreneurs, that realization can feel confusing because externally things may look successful while internally things do feel exhausting, disconnected, or emotionally heavy. That disconnect matters because success without alignment eventually becomes survival. So, an actionable tip is take inventory of your life and business by asking what currently feels aligned, what feels performative, and then what version of me am I trying to maintain that no longer feels true? Awareness is the first step toward healing. So, next, recognizing self abandonment. One moment that hit deeply was when we talked about how women unknowingly abandon themselves. So I asked Tina, how can a woman recognize she is abandoning herself? Take a look. So, Tina, how can a woman recognize she is abandoning herself?
I think it becomes it becomes a question of, do I want to go there? Do I have the courage to look at myself brutally honest? And for me, I was very much in a victim mindset for quite a while. Once I exited corporate, and I came to the realization that the grief of losing those pregnancies was something I never really dealt with because I pushed it down, carried on until my body told me that everything was about to break. When I realized that my lifestyle and the choices that I consciously made were probably a contributing factor as to why my body didn't deem it safe enough to carry a pregnancy to full term. That was a hard pill to swallow. But in having that self responsibility without blaming myself, just having a really open conversation with my innermost conscience, for a better word, forced me to look at places where I wasn't showing up in honesty with myself. I had no boundaries. And because I felt deep down not good enough, which is something pretty much most women in this audience probably relate to, I had to reframe, what does success look like for me? What does a career look like for me? What does happiness look like to me? And I think as women, we get conditioned to be the nice girl, to not rock the boat, look after everybody else. And if we're not constantly doing something, we're lazy, we're selfish. All these little things are constantly around us. And we're asking questions of what we really need from a point of asking for permission. And obviously, as a speaker and someone who helps people embody their voice, the way you phrase your question, the way you have your tonal range makes a big difference on how someone perceives what you're asking for. So self-honesty, stillness, and redefining those core principles. When are you in integrity and when are you out of integrity? And then being really staunch to start setting the boundaries based on what you need for yourself without asking for permission or validation for what you really want to do. And it goes with lifestyle choices. It can be related to nutrition, relaxation, relationships. It impacts not just our work. Every part of our life as a woman is affected because we're a whole lot of women. One of my favorite things. Not just a great song, but we are not just the CEO of a company or a senior executive. We're a mother, we're a daughter, we're a sister, we're a lover, we're a wife, a friend. All these different elements, we're going to need to put ourselves first.
So, the key takeaway here is self abandonment often looks normal before it feels harmful. It can sound like, I'll rest later. Everyone else needs me first. I'll just have to keep pushing. And many women become so accustomed to overgiving that they stop hearing themselves altogether. So, an actionable tip is start checking in with yourself daily. You want to ask yourself, what do I need today? What emotion have I been avoiding? And then where am I saying yes where my spirit says no? Tiny moments of honesty create powerful reconnection. Okay, next, becoming an embodied woman. Now, let's talk about embodiment because this part of the conversation was transformational. I asked Tina, what does it actually mean to become an embodied woman? Take a look at this. And when a woman begins to come back home to herself, like you did, what does it actually mean to become an embodied woman?
You listen to what your body is trying to communicate to you. And the stillness, I cannot stress it enough. It means that you take time away from the noise. And that means maybe not watching television, sit in nature, go for a walk. Whatever that happens, you don't need to go on an island for 2 weeks, even though that is a very nice thing to do. Um, you need to make that part of your daily practice. For me, every morning before my house wakes up, and the cats wants food and school and all that stuff, I go and make myself a beautiful cup of cacao. I've ditched coffee in part of my menopause journey. That's a whole nother topic. And I then sit in my jacuzzi under the stars, watch the sunrise, and just practice gratitude, especially considering when you turn the radio on, you've got everything that happened overnight. At the moment, it's overwhelming on what's happening in the world. So being able to be with yourself, to have gratitude for what you have, and give gratitude to what the day might bring, sets yourself up for a really good frequency. I do breath work. I do go for a walk. That sort of time in the morning, it doesn't need to be long. Even if you don't have a spa or the chance to go for a walk, when you wake up, do not reach to your phone and check all the emails or stuff or go on socials. Sit in your bed or lie where you are, put your hands on your heart and just breathe deeply, exhale deeply, and just spend a moment with that space before all of the day's stuff comes encroaching on your space. And that helps. And I do the same in the evenings. I often sit outside. I love nature. Obviously, New Zealand has beautiful weather most of the year. So
Yes.
I feel very blessed being here. It's that time when you be still, when you can start listening to your intuition. You have an antenna on the inside. And if you tune in on that, you probably don't hear a lot of crackling like a radio. But once you start tuning in, you're starting to hear. And you come into a relationship with what your body needs. Yes, you might go, I've got a spin class. I've got to be there at 7. But maybe your body goes, you know what, today I just feel like I need rest, because that's when women actually regenerate the hormones in their nervous system. Sleep is such an important factor, especially as we get older. That relaxation is gold, because then you come into communion with yourself. So that's the key thing for me to become embodied, because you're then in your body. It's constantly telling you things. And your intuition is something we've been told as women we can't trust. You absolutely can. You just have to tune in and be quiet so you can hear it.
So, the key takeaway here is embodiment is when your life begins matching your truth. It's no longer just intellectual healing, it becomes emotional, physical, energetic. An embodied woman stops shrinking herself to make others comfortable. She trusts herself. She honors herself. She leads differently. And an actionable tip is practice slowing down before responding or reacting. Embodied women don't move from panic. They move from presence. Before your next decision, ask, does this feel aligned or familiar? There's a difference. So at the end of part 1, We left listeners with a powerful cliffhanger. What changes when a woman finally gives herself permission for more? And in part two, we answered it. Before we finish today's conversation, I want to take a moment to speak directly to the woman listening right now, especially the one who knows she has something powerful to offer, but sometimes struggles to clearly communicate it. So many incredible women entrepreneurs have the heart, the wisdom, and the passion to serve others, but when it comes to their marketing message, they feel stuck. They know what they do, but translating that into a message that truly attracts the right clients can feel overwhelming. That's why I'm preparing a brand new webinar called How to Get Clear on Your Marketing Message and Attract Your Dream Clients to Your Digital Front Door. In this training, I'm going to walk you through the same framework I teach inside my program that helps women entrepreneurs finally articulate their message with confidence so the right people can actually find them, understand them, and say yes to work with them. The webinar will be opening soon, and if this speaks to you, I invite you to join the wait list. When you join the wait list, you'll be the first to know when registration opens, and you'll receive a few early insights to start clarifying your message right away. You can find the link in the show notes because your voice matters, your message matters, and the women who need what you offer are waiting to hear it. Click the link in the show notes to join. What changes when a woman finally gives herself permission for more? Take a look at this. What changes when a woman finally does give herself permission for more?
You become a radiating permission slip to others around you. We do not fight for crumbs anymore, and we put ourselves first, and we grow into that taller every time we have a boundary, every time we assert ourselves, and we do not need to do it in an aggressive way. We can do it very compassionately from a place of heart. And I think that's the biggest change. We're done fighting. We can lay the armor down. We've tried to take on the system head on with both fists in the air. We don't need to do that anymore. We can actually just rise within ourselves and then be able to go and alchemize some things and change things without contorting or reverting back into old systems and patterns. And it doesn't mean that that never happens. I still have moments where I go, oh, where did it come from? I thought I felt that. So give yourself some grace as you grow, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you become in that. So like anything, you can learn to become more powerful as long as you know that it's coming from within, and it's not the title or another degree or an MBA. It does come from within. So we become powerful in our own right. We can change communities, families, the world. And I'm bold enough to make that statement if we join together.
Woo, yes. So, our key takeaway here is everything changes when a woman heals. Not overnight, not perfectly, but deeply. Her standards change, her boundaries change, her relationships change, her business changes because healed women stop building from fear and start building from alignment. Yes. So I asked Tina, how does she make decisions differently? And then how does her energy shift in the room? Take a look at this. How does a woman make decisions differently?
It's putting yourself first. Because if you make decisions based on your own integrity and your values, whatever that decision happens to be in the outside world, you know that you can look in the mirror in the morning and go, I'm in full integrity of what I'm doing and what I'm calling in, what I am working on, because I know where I want to go with this. And I'm not afraid to share that with audiences or peers, with superiors and boards, to go, here's the change we need to make. And here's why I think it is the way. We're stop hiding ourselves. And we don't have to sacrifice our femininity in the process.
Women can really feel that shift. So, how does a woman's energy shift in the room? Can you talk a little bit more about shifting the energy?
I
Like,
always say that the when someone who is embodied walks into any space, you can feel the energy before you see the person. So people talk about someone's aura, or you sensing things. And if someone has it, I mean, we probably all have seen. I was in my mid-20s, and I had a woman who I call her my first wild woman, because she had, like, there was something about her, and the minute she walked in a room, you felt her. It's that the queen has arrived. And she didn't say anything. She didn't do anything aggressive. She was just being fully herself. No care in the world what anyone thought of her. And I think that's a quality when you feel a sovereign woman. And it goes for men as well. If you've got an embodied man, he doesn't need to mansplain. He doesn't need to cut you down. He doesn't need. It's a different energy. And I always say men have been conditioned just as much as women. And it's important to look at and have some compassion for the way they show up as well. They're not all out to get us. It's just the way they've been conditioned. They never actually thought of it. And in some defense, again, looking at honestly ourselves, when they looked at me, I worked in male-dominated industries for most of my career. I pretended to be one of the boys.
mm,
And I'm partly to blame as to why there wasn't more of an open communication, I suppose, or me bringing my female qualities to the table, because, you had a bit of fear of judgment, oh, she's got her period, she's going to, I'm going to take down the thing, or she's emotional. Like, you try and not show that at work, but it is in doing that where the mask comes off, and it allows them to change too. So I think the dynamic changes when a woman is sovereign and she is coming in her queen energy, as I like to call it. You can just feel it, and it's an undertow that enters the room, and you've probably seen them in boardrooms or doing speeches or in the community going, whatever she's got, I would like to have some of that, please.
yeah,
And again, it can be a trigger. Very few women actually say that in a positive way, because they go, she's a bit full of herself. We default to our mean girl mentality and the
yeah,
competition thing, comparisonitis, as I like to call it. So if we actually be honest to go, well, I would like to be like that, rock that dress the way she does without worrying about that she's not a size 6 or she's 50 and has grey hair. Who cares? She's herself, and that's her best impression on how she shows up.
right.
I love that, and I see more and more of them, and I also see more and more younger women being like this a lot earlier, and I go, wow, I wish I'd had the power I have now, or perceived power, and fully being myself when I was 20. My life could have been very different if I'd shown up from that place, and I think most people in the audience probably resonate.
Yeah.
That wisdom sometimes comes on a little bit later. But it's nice to see younger generation really coming in with a completely different set of self-belief.
So the key takeaway here is a healed woman doesn't chase validation the same way. She no longer needs to prove her worth through exhaustion, overworking, or constant performance. Instead, her decisions become clearer, her presence become calmer, her leadership become more grounded. People feel the difference before she even says a word. And an actionable tip is before making your next decision, pause and ask yourself, am I choosing this from fear or alignment? Am I trying to prove or express? And does this support the life I actually want to live? Because alignment changes how success feels. Next, receiving abundance and soul led business. This next section challenged so many women, and honestly, probably will continue to. Thank you, everyone, for your comments because you really, really enjoyed this next clip. So I asked Tina, why is receiving harder than giving for women? And then what blocks abundance emotionally? Take a look. Why is receiving harder than giving for women, Tina?
I think that's the self-worth part. How often have we been given a compliment and someone goes, "Oh, that's nothing special. It's I've got it at a sample sale or whatever." I said, "No, just wear it. Just sit with it, and really revel in that." And I think, and again, it's that awareness part, and then seeing yourself, why did I default to that? Where does that come from? And I think that just takes awareness and practice. Practice. As a martial artist, I can tell you that when you learn a new kata, it feels uncomfortable. You forget all the steps. The more you do it, the more it becomes second nature or muscle memory. So things in life, it's the same thing. The more you do it, the more often you assert yourself. It signals to your body that wasn't actually so scary because your body is actually trying to keep you safe. So it could be that you feel like, oh, is he giving me? Especially if the compliment comes from a man, is what we always think. Is there a deeper reason? Is he wanting attention, or what is this? So it's again, it's accepting a compliment is fine, and accept it for what it is. And again, that intuitive thing, you can understand: is it genuine? Is it not? Practice receiving compliments, collect them.
That connects directly to abundance. What blocks abundance emotionally?
What blocks abundance? Mindset. The you don't even entertain the possibility. So my favorite quote I have hanging over my desk: never give up on your daydream. When you dream about something you may want to do, it doesn't matter how unattainable it feels for you or how wild. You can feel it, and you really, really, really want that. There's that desire again. Your big, hairy, audacious goal. Most people would be familiar with that term. If you actually work towards something with little steps, then go and do that, because you're living into that frequency of what it feels like if you already had that. And abundance is not something that is just monetary. And I could have a whole nother discussion just about, our money story and how that plays out, not just in relation to our money, but the self-worth. So allow yourself to receive the abundance, because I've seen so many people just block it by they're not even having the means to receive abundance. Like, for instance, if you're a coach or something and you've got all the good ideas, but how do people find you? How do they pay you? If you haven't got an easy way for them to do it, it's like, well, you're putting all this thing out and you're attracting people, and then you go, what's the structure? So you need to create a pathway for you to receive the abundance. A, accept it. B, be open about it. And C, having the structure to actually filter it into your system. And the mind can be the biggest block about that, because your subconscious is always going to be stronger than your brain. And there's a lot of science that backs that up, which is why sometimes certain stages in meditation can get you to a different part, or hypnotherapy goes into that sort of realm. You can't fool your subconscious. If you deep down believe you don't deserve that, or money is dangerous and people with money are evil, whatever your story is, the abundance of that, which to most people start with having enough funds and having money coming into your world, That is part of it, but abundance shows up in other places as well. I get really, really, like the horses for me, that's pure abundance, because I can fill my cup. I can, snuffle them, hug them, brush them, just smell them. And I know I sound like a weird person, but you will have things in your life that make you so giddy because you're enjoying that activity so much. That's abundance too. Don't block it. Just revel in it.
So, our key takeaway here is many women were conditioned to earn love through service, sacrifice, and self denial. So, receiving can feel uncomfortable, unsafe, and even selfish. But healing teaches us receiving is not weakness, receiving is openness, and soul led business. It feels peaceful, aligned, sustainable, not perfect, but true. Yes. And an actionable tip is practice receiving in small ways. Accept compliments without deflecting. Ask for help. Rest without feeling guilty. Allow support in your life and business. Receiving expands capacity. So, toward the end of our conversation, Tina completed this sentence. Take a look at this. And
Yeah.
Tina, I would love for you to complete this sentence. The world needs more women who are willing to.
Be themselves fully. Full of yourself.
I
And
love
own
it.
it.
Yeah, oh, own it. I love it. That is such a powerful declaration. That's really good. And one I hope every woman listening takes to heart. And I would like to add the world needs more women who are willing to build from a place of wholeness instead of proving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the key takeaway here is the world does not need more exhausted women proving themselves. It needs more healed women embodying truth, alignment, wisdom, and wholeness. Because when a woman heals, her relationships shift, her business shifts, her leadership shifts, and generations shift. So, as we close today's recap room, I want to leave you with this reminder. Healing is not separate from your success, it's the foundation to it. You do not have to hustle your way into worthiness, you do not have to abandon yourself to build something meaningful. And maybe the most powerful thing you can do in this season is become the woman you're trying so hard to outrun. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in the recap room. If today's episode spoke to you, share it with another woman who needs this reminder. And remember, when the woman heals, everything connected to her begins to rise. All right, until next time, stay fierce, stay aligned, and I'll see you next time in the recap room. I hope you are enjoying the recap room. This new series is a companion to the Becoming Fierce Female Entrepreneurs podcast. It's a deeper dive into the solo episodes you love. In each episode, there will be key takeaways and practical tips to fuel your journey and fresh insights to help you thrive unapologetically. Also, don't forget to grab your journal and or your Soar Girl Boss coffee cup. These journals and cups have my artwork on them. So if you would like to purchase one, you can go to my website, becomingfierceentrepreneurs.com. The journals help you keep all of your notes in the same place. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the recap room and you can join me for every episode. I've mentioned to you before, I used to always want all my little ducks lined up in a row. And
Yeah.
and I love you said yours be swimming all over the place. Mine too. Well, like,
I know.
wait.
One is always going to diddle off, and there's a meme that said, "Oh, and one is just gone to a rave somewhere."
Yes, we can just talk, have fun, and I love when we get together. 'Cause,
Yeah.
we feed off of each other. We just be authentic and just be
Be
ourselves.
yourself. Just be. Period.
Be. Okay, I'm gonna have to toast to that.
Yes, let's do that.